My 48F, older daughter, 24F, gave birth to her fourth child 6 months ago. She used to work as a dishwasher, but due to health issues stemming from her second child, chronic back pain, and then her third child, after effects of broken tailbone and more chronic pain that made standing and moving around hard, she could no longer work. She tried her best, getting an office temp job, but after about a week the woman supervising her said this isn't working out. My daughter's boyfriend, 28M, works at Walmart. He had much more hours when she was pregnant, but since then his hours have ebbed and flowed. He said he will take a day in the future to look for jobs, but it's the holidays and he's busy with family. I feel a lot of empathy for my daughter and her boyfriend and wish I could help them out more, but I myself am a single mom working for a nursing home where I struggle to get full-time hours, and my ex ran up a lot of debt in both our names and is now living in another country. My younger daughter, 17F, has a college fund. The amount in it would be enough to pay a large amount of a 2-year community college tuition, given the scholarship/grant she would likely get, and both parents are depressed because her boyfriend got a job offer one state away and they would have to move from their support network. They came to me asking for help so they could have more time to find financial stability here. I was torn, but seeing my grandkids I knew my duty was to care for the most vulnerable in the family. So I will be making calls to liquidate my daughter's college fund, saying yes to understanding the penalties, and told my daughter this. She got very cold and said, "You always brag about having a good memory, I hope you remember this moment then." She has not spoken to me since. Spent Thanksgiving inquiring it with family friends to see if hospitals are keen to hire college students for kitchen or reception or anything.
Am I the a-hole for returning our daughter's exposing clothing? So my daughter Lily 16 approached her mom about getting some new clothes because her old ones were, according to her, seriously outdated. Without even giving me a heads up, my wife decided to let Lily take the reins and pick out the clothes herself from some websites online. Fast forward to me unexpectedly coming across Lily in a crop top and short shorts. I asked her if she was planning to go out like that, to which she casually responded with a confident yes. I told her she needed to change into something more appropriate and asked who bought the clothes for her. Turned out, it was my wife. I confronted my wife about it, told her I wasn't comfortable with the clothes our daughter was wearing and suggested we return them. We ended up having a bit of an argument, with my wife saying our daughter is old enough to make her own clothing choices and that there was nothing wrong with the clothes our daughter was wearing and that I'm being too overprotective. After a long discussion, my wife reluctantly agreed to return the clothes, but on the condition that I tell Lily it was entirely my decision. Now, my daughter knows, and she's not thrilled about it. She argued that the clothes are trendy, and it's a common style among her friends, and that I'm the only person who thinks wearing a crop top is inappropriate. But I'm standing my ground, saying that regardless of trends, I won't allow that type of clothing to be worn, not in public at least. My daughter is giving me the cold shoulder and avoiding interaction with me now. I do feel a little guilty and think I might have been a bit too firm and reactionary, but at the same time I just didn't want to sacrifice my principles. I want the best for my daughter, and being recessed like that won't win her any prizes in life. Does that make me the a-hole? My 25-year stepson, wife and I married for 6 years together for 12, got his longtime girlfriend pregnant. I told him it's time to get a house with her to raise his child. They did. They got married, bought a house and began to raise their son. 4 months ago he shows up at our house with a suitcase and starts living with us. I knew it was a stressful time, but I guess he cheated on her with a coworker. Wife told me not him. She wanted to figure out the relationship but he refused. After a month of being in the house I sit him down to get his side of the story. Not getting any reason other than he didn't feel like being with her anymore. I told him he had 3 options. 1. Go back to your wife and child and make every effort to right your wrongs. 2. Stay here, babysitting his son for 4 hours during the day while she was at work and follow my house rules to the letter. Clean up after yourself every day, picking up all toys, washing all dishes made by him, showering after work not before work, stay awake while watching him. 3. Leave my house and figure things out on your own. He works nights and I found he was staying after work unnecessarily, drinking before going to sleep for a few hours and waking up when his son got dropped off only to fall asleep on the couch when he should be watching his not even 2-year-old. After a few nice and then a few not so nice reminders for him to stay awake, he told me to essentially mind my own business and he will do what he wants. I told him he has chosen option 3 and I don't want him in my house any longer. This led to a fight with my wife and she said if he leaves she will leave as well. Am I the a-hole here? Quick recap. My wife filed for divorce because she was no longer attracted to me after my accident in which I lost my leg. We had an agreement that I could see my son anytime I wanted, but he wouldn't be doing any overnight visits until I had a motel or apartment. At the time my RV had no heat and the doors didn't lock and I didn't feel comfortable with him sleeping there. Shortly after his 7th birthday he called me super upset, crying that he didn't want to be there anymore. He told me that his mom's boyfriend's kids were making fun of him for asking about going to therapy. He said he only told mom and that she must have told the whole house. When I brought up his therapy, my ex dismissed the idea entirely, saying there is no reason why a 7-year-old needs a psychiatrist to pump him with rugs. I told her he doesn't need medication, but having someone to talk to about things would be beneficial. Her exact words were, since you don't have any money it might be hard to grasp that those of us who do, don't want to waste it on problems that are imaginary. Anything involving our son, she uses the fact that she is the primary caretaker with money and I need to just go along with whatever she says. I was completely unaware that her boyfriend and kids moved in. The boys took over my son's room and threw away his clothes that were on the floor, which were only on the floor because they took his dresser. They also play this game where one of the boys puts a pillow over his head and farts, and when he tries to get up from under the pillow, boys both sit on the pillow and laugh. I asked him how long they do this for. He said until he plays dead and stops moving. Accidental asphyxiation? I confronted my ex and I told her what our son told me, and she said that it was just rough housing and he is just sensitive because he was an only child, so he doesn't know how to play. Covering someone's face and sitting on them is not a effing game. This is not just boys being boys. She let out a huge annoyed sigh and said her boyfriend has his own way of raising boys and that since he lives there and not me, they run the house how they want. Her boyfriend took my son's phone because he was being disrespectful. I asked her to elaborate. My son didn't want to rub her boyfriend's feet as a chore. My son, under no circumstance, should ever have to touch someone he doesn't want to touch, and calling it a chore is predatory. As I'm saying all this, her boyfriend comes around the corner laughing and says, haha, I don't know what you are moaning and groaning about. You don't live here. Don't you come here making demands. Before I could respond, he said I should just take my sissy of a son back to the trailer park because if he doesn't want to listen to the man of the house, he can go. I am not taking my son from his mother, nor am I jealous that she is in a new relationship. My son needs his mom. He needs us both, but right now she isn't paying attention, and I mean that in the simplest terms. She is addicted to that man's pee-pee. I filed for emergency custody and today was our hearing. She came with her boyfriend and his kids. His mom didn't say a word to our son. She was laughing and playing with her boyfriend's boys while we waited. I had to sit and watch my son watch them with tears in his eyes. He asked me, Mom has known me my whole life. Why is she picking them? I had no response because I felt the same exact way. She didn't contest my custody and I almost got in trouble myself because I asked her to get her head checked because she is acting like she might have a brain tumor. Now we are staying in a motel for a week and looking at apartments. It'll be a while before I can save up, but the RV is livable now. I can now get him into therapy. I can get food stamps, etc. My son is safe.